policy. Hold a big event. Make any announcement of any kind. Basically to get people to talk about anything other than the absolute shellacking that you just took at the polls. But apparently the announcement this White House settled on today didn't even really seem to keep the President of the United States awake.
Americans will lose 135 billion pounds by the midterms. But I don't measure it in pounds, I measure it in saved lives. People can sleep again because they can breathe as when they go to bed. Folks whose knees don't hurt, people who don't have heart attacks, renal failure, dementia, all the things we know are associated with obesity and much more.
I don't know if you just saw Donald Trump like on the side of the screen there. We maybe should have done like a big red circle or something there, but I'm sure you saw it. I mean, that was him in the White House today, basically appearing to nod off while his Surgeon General talked about, of all things really, dementia, obesity, and sleep loss. I mean, it kind of feels a little too on the nose, doesn't it? Let's just go back for a second to what Dr. Oz was saying there before the president started to lose interest.
Mr. President, our estimate, based on the company numbers as well, is Americans will lose 135 billion pounds by the midterms.
That didn't catch his interest either, but yes, you heard it. Dr. Oz is promising that Americans will lose 135 billion pounds by the midterms. That's a lot of pounds in a short period of time. Look, I'm not an expert on weight loss, not even a mathematician, but I do know there are about 340 million people in the United States. So for this country to collectively lose 135 billion pounds, that would mean that every American would have to lose an average of 397 pounds each. And that would be big news because it's basically impossible. Okay, so this event was extremely weird to begin with, and then this happened.
For nearly 150 years, my company, Eli Lilly, has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today, we're in the bed. Yeah.
Now that was the moment today when a guest at that event, who was reportedly a weight loss drug patient, collapsed. Now that kind of thing does happen at White House events from time to time. People are standing for a long time, sometimes it's hot, and the man is reportedly okay, which is definitely very good news. What was notable this time was how the president just kind of awkwardly stood there, stared at him as after it happened. That's what he did kind of the whole time. I mean, did he understand what happened? Did he not care? Was he happy to just stand by as things were literally collapsing around him? Metaphors are kind of too long to list here, but that event gave us a lot to work with. That is definitely how Trump appears to be coping with this week's election loss. It's just sort of spacing out as his party collapses. And to be fair, I mean, everyone is coping, I guess, in their own way. Here's Republican Congresswoman and political genius of sorts, you'll see, Lisa McClain.
Voter turnout from Republicans was not high. Not high at all. But I think part of that reason is because Republicans, for the most part, are happy with what's happening.
She's the Republican conference chairwoman, and she said Republicans didn't vote because they are too happy. That is quite a hot take. Not the only one, though. Here's Republican Congressman Steve Scalise.
If Alabama held an election also Tuesday, and gee whiz, a Republican governor was elected governor of Alabama, would anybody be writing a story about it?
He had to really come up with that one. Good on his team. I mean, maybe someone could fill Steve Scalise in on Democratic wins in red states like Mississippi and Georgia, and the more than dozen state legislative seats that were flipped in Virginia, just to mention a few. And just when you thought these takes could not get any dumber, Laura Ingraham said, "Hold my beer, everyone." So by winning, Democrats are in a way losing. By winning, Democrats are actually losing. Now, that wasn't just like a slip of the tongue or weird thing she said when she was tired. I mean, she was so pleased with herself for coming up with that someone on her team actually put it on the graphic At the bottom of her screen, you can just see it right there. By winning, Democrats are actually losing, as that is winning spin of some sort. Who knows? The Trump can make all of the excuses they want, but they know why they lost this election. In New York City, voters said the cost of living was the #1 issue driving them